Your alarm goes off at 6:30 on Monday morning. You open your eyes. For a few seconds, your brain does what it has done for years. Shower, coffee, traffic, emails, meeting at 9, finish the report, pretend you're not checking the clock every 20 minutes. Then you remember, you don't have to go. Not today. Not tomorrow, not next Monday either. Your investments, savings, and other income can now cover the life you're actually living. Rent, food, insurance, utilities, transportation, the boring expenses nobody puts in motivational videos. You could stop working today, and nothing immediately breaks. This is the moment you spent years trying to reach. Financial freedom. You thought it would feel like winning. Instead, you just lie there. And suddenly, for the first time in your adult life, nobody is telling you what you need to do next. That turns out to be a much stranger feeling than you expected, because financial freedom doesn't just change your bank account. It removes something that has been organizing your entire life, pressure, and once the pressure disappears, you finally discover what was underneath it. Years earlier, freedom looked completely different. You weren't thinking about investment returns. You were thinking about Friday. Could you make it to payday without moving money from savings? Could you afford the repair? Could you say yes to dinner? Could you survive one bad month without putting it on a credit card? Back then, freedom meant having enough money to stop something from hurting. So you started small. You paid off the balance that followed you every month. Then another. You built the first emergency fund. Nothing dramatic happened. Your apartment looked the same. Your clothes looked the same. Nobody congratulated you. But when your car needed a repair, you paid for it. No panic. No card. No phone call, asking someone for help. You stared at the receipt afterward. It still hurt, but it didn't scare you. That was the first time you realized something. Money wasn't only buying things, it was buying distance between you and panic. So you kept going. You saved more, invested more, learned to let raises improve your balance sheet before they improved your lifestyle. And slowly, your financial life stopped feeling like a fire you had to put out every month. At first, every new milestone felt enormous. 1 month of expenses, then 3, then 6, then a year. You checked your accounts constantly. Every increase felt like proof that the plan was working. But there was always another number. You told yourself, once I have enough to survive 6 months, I'll relax. Then you reached 6 months and wanted 12. Once I have $100,000 invested, I'll feel secure. Then you reached $100,000 and started thinking about $250,000, then $500,000, then the number required for complete financial independence. The finish line kept moving because the closer you got to freedom, the more terrified you became of losing it. And that's the first thing nobody tells you. When you're broke, your fear is, what if I don't have enough? When you're building wealth, your fear becomes, what if I lose what I've built? The number changes. The fear just learns a new language. So even when your investments become large enough to cover years of living expenses, you still check them every morning. Green day, good, red day. Your stomach tightens. You know markets move. You've told yourself that 1,000 times, but logic doesn't stop your brain from imagining the account falling all the way back to where you started. Then one day, something finally changes. You calculate everything again, conservatively: housing, food, healthcare, insurance, travel, maintenance, taxes, unexpected expenses. You don't use the perfect version of your life, you use the real one. And the answer is still the same. You have enough. Not infinite money, not private jet money. Enough. Enough that your job is no longer financially mandatory. You stare at the spreadsheet, then you close it, and the strangest thought appears. If I don't need the paycheck anymore, why am I still here? The next morning, you walk into work differently. Same building, same security desk, same elevator, same people, but it feels like somebody quietly unlocked a door you never noticed was there. Your manager asks if you can stay late. Normally, you would immediately say yes. This time, you pause. Not because you're trying to be difficult, because for the first time, you realize you can say no and survive the consequences. That changes the entire room. A job feels completely different when leaving it won't destroy your life. The meeting that used to feel intimidating becomes a meeting. The manager who once had enormous power over your week becomes a person asking for your time. The promotion you've been chasing suddenly looks less impressive. More money? Sure, but also more calls, more responsibility, more evenings disappearing into work. For years, you assumed higher salary automatically meant progress. Now you start measuring offers differently. Not, how much does it pay? But what will this cost me in hours? Stress, attention, freedom, and that is where financial independence begins becoming something more than money. You start buying back pieces of yourself. At first, you don't quit. That's the head fake. You imagined reaching financial freedom and dramatically walking out. Laptop closed, badge on the desk, sunset outside. Instead, you stay for a while. Because once leaving becomes possible, you discover you don't actually hate everything about work. You like some people. You like solving certain problems. You even like being useful. What you hated was the feeling that you had no choice. And removing that one thing changes almost everything. You negotiate differently. You take vacation without apologizing. You stop answering emails at midnight. You stop pretending every corporate emergency is also your personal emergency. And strangely, your work gets better, not because you're trying harder, because you're less afraid. You can tell someone an idea is bad. You can admit when something doesn't make sense. You can refuse a promotion you don't want. You can leave a toxic environment before it becomes your identity. Financial freedom doesn't make you powerful because you can buy expensive things. It makes you powerful because desperation stops negotiating on your behalf. Eventually, though, you do leave. Not in anger, no dramatic speech. You finish your final day, return the laptop, say goodbye, walk outside, and that's when the second surprise begins. Tuesday morning, no alarm. You wake up at 8:43, you make coffee, sit down, and smile. Wednesday feels even better. Thursday, still good. Friday feels strange because Friday no longer means anything. Then Monday arrives, and for the first time, you realize the whole world is going somewhere without you. People rush to work, cars fill the streets, messages appear in group chats, coworkers complain about meetings you no longer attend, and you have nowhere you need to be. At first, this feels incredible. You go to the gym when it's empty, buy groceries at 2 in the afternoon, take a walk on a Tuesday while everyone else is in an office. You book a trip without checking vacation days. You stay an extra week because there is no manager waiting for you. This is what you wanted, time. But something happens when you suddenly own too much of it. You begin wasting it. You wake up later, scroll longer, tell yourself you'll start that project tomorrow. Then tomorrow becomes Thursday. Then next week. You spent years believing work was stealing your time. Now you have the time back and realize you never learned how to use it. That's the second thing financial freedom removes: excuses. When you're working 50 hours a week, you can tell yourself, I'd get fit if I had more time. I'd start the business if I had more time. I'd write the book, visit my parents, learn the language, make something, help someone, live differently. Then one day, you have the time. And if you still don't do those things, you have to meet a much more uncomfortable possibility. Maybe time was never the only problem. That realization hits harder than any market crash, because financial freedom solves a money problem. It does not automatically solve a purpose problem. For most of your life, your schedule gave you structure. School told you what came next. Then work did. Monday, Friday, quarterly goals, performance reviews, promotions, raises. Someone was always giving you the next level. Now nobody is. You've beaten the game you spent 20 years learning to play, and there is no screen telling you what mission comes next. So you start searching for one. Maybe you travel. The first trip is incredible. The second one too. Then after enough airports, hotel rooms, beaches, and photos, even freedom can become routine. Maybe you buy nicer things. You can, but you've already learned that convenience has a ceiling. The better phone feels normal in a week. The better car becomes transportation. The bigger apartment eventually becomes rooms you walk through without noticing. You can increase comfort, but comfort cannot answer, what am I doing with my life now that I don't have to spend it earning permission to live? And that question changes you. Some people run away from it. They keep accumulating. 1 million becomes 2. 2 becomes 5, not because they need 5, because chasing the number feels safer than deciding what enough means. There is always another target, another portfolio milestone, another property, another zero. And as long as you're climbing, you don't have to ask where the ladder is leaning. You almost fall into that trap too. Your portfolio grows beyond the number you originally said would be enough. You update the spreadsheet, maybe a little more, just for safety, then a little more, maybe inflation, maybe healthcare, maybe a crash, maybe something you haven't thought of. The word enough starts moving again. Then one afternoon, you catch yourself, you're financially free, and spending your day worrying about whether you're financially free enough. You've recreated scarcity with a much larger account, so you change the rules. You stop asking, how much more can I accumulate, and start asking, what is this money supposed to protect? Your health? Then exercise gets time. Your relationships? Then people get time. Your curiosity? Then learning gets time. Your family? Then being present gets time. Work you actually care about? Then you do it even if it pays less. Money finally moves into the role it was always supposed to have. Support, not identity, not score, not purpose, support. Your life becomes quieter. You still check your investments, just not 10 times a day. You still work, but now you choose projects differently. Some pay well, some barely pay anything. Some are just interesting. Someone offers you a high-paying role. Old you would have accepted immediately. New you asks what the week would look like. You turn it down. Your friend thinks you're crazy. Do you know how much money you're leaving on the table? You do. That's the point. Before financial freedom, walking away from money felt irresponsible. After financial freedom, sometimes taking money you don't need in exchange for a life you don't want feels irresponsible. And your relationships change too. Not because everyone suddenly treats you like a millionaire. Most people don't even know your number, but you notice things you couldn't notice before. A friend cancels dinner because his boss called. Someone stays in a job they hate because the mortgage is due. A relative delays a medical appointment because they can't miss a shift. You remember exactly what that felt like. You stop judging people for choices that make perfect sense when money is tight, and you become more careful about giving advice. Just quit. Just take a year off. Just start a business. Those sentences sound very different when one person has 10 years of expenses invested and the other has 3 weeks. Financial freedom changes your perspective, but if you're not careful, it can also make you forget the reality you escaped. So you keep parts of your old life on purpose. You still cook, still wear the same black shirt, still compare prices sometimes, not because you have to, because freedom feels better when your lifestyle doesn't constantly demand proof of your wealth. And then, eventually, the biggest change arrives. A problem happens, the market drops hard, headlines turn red, your portfolio falls more in a week than you used to earn in a year. Old fear returns immediately. For a moment, you feel like you're back at the beginning. You open the account, stare at the number, then look around. Your home is still there. Food is still in the kitchen. No debt collector is calling. No manager controls whether you can pay rent next month. You built margin, not perfection, margin. And that's when you finally understand financial freedom. It was never the moment your portfolio crossed a magical number. It was the moment money stopped being the answer to every question. Should I stay at this job? Money used to decide. Should I take this trip? Money used to decide. Can I spend time with someone who's sick? Money used to decide. Can I say no? Can I rest? Can I try something that might fail? Can I walk away? For most of your life, the answer passed through your bank account first. Now, sometimes it doesn't. That is the change. Not that you never worry again. Not that every day becomes a vacation. Not that money stops mattering. It still matters. You still need to manage it. Markets still fall. Life still surprises you. People still get sick. Plans still break. But money is no longer standing between you and every decision. The pressure that used to say, you have to, becomes, what do you want to do? And that question sounds easy until you actually have to answer it. Because financial freedom isn't the end of the story. It's the moment the story finally becomes yours. You spent years building enough money to escape survival, then enough to create security, then enough to buy back your time. But the final level isn't having enough money to never work again. It's building a life you wouldn't need to escape from, even if work became optional. And one morning, years after that first Monday, your alarm goes off again, 6:30. But this time, you set it yourself. You get up because there is somewhere you want to be, something you chose to build, someone you chose to help, a day you chose before it began. You could stay in bed. That's what makes getting up feel different. That is financial freedom.